everyone, welcome to Tom's Man Shed. Right now, as any regular subscribers will know, all my videos do go on and on a bit. I try and make them as detailed as possible. You can always skip bits if you don't want them, but I can't add anything extra if I make it too short. So apologies again, I've just been putting the editing together of all the workings of it, and it's probably going to be about an hour long. So if you do want to skip to any particular bit, I'm going to annotize each bit below on the red line, so just use that to skip out any unwanted bits. Also, if I could ask you right at the beginning as well as at the end, it'd be fantastic if you subscribe. Click the icon of the shed which will appear here at the end of the video, or the red thing at the bottom, and once you click that, click the bell icon and you'll be alerted to any new uploads. So without further ado, I'm going to quickly go through the sort of intro to it, and then, like I say, I'm going to show it you on every single stage of all the different filaments it's joining, and the joined filaments going through the AMS of the machine behind me, and the final product that they all made, to show you how they went through. So again, like I said, apologies, it will be a long video. So you'll know from the thumbnail, it's on this, the Sunlu Filament Connector. If you've got a 3D printer, you'll know that as you're running out of filament on the spool, once you've got about 1/4 of an inch left or whatever, you're not sure whether it's going to run out halfway through the next print. I'm okay with, like I said, the machine behind me there. On the top is a thing called the AMS, which holds 4 spools. And if you put the adjacent spools, if you tell it it's the same colour and the same stuff like PLA, PETG, when one runs out, it'll automatically feed in the next. So you don't have to be at home or anything, and it'll do that automatically. Of course, if you've just got the one like me, Elegoo Neptune there, again, if it runs out, it doesn't ruin the print. The run out sensor at the top there, just upon my thumb, stops it, and so your print isn't ruined, but of course you've got to be there to feed in new filament, and you waste about, I don't know, a couple of foot, 2 or 3 foot of filament that you've just got to pull out and put the new one in. So something like this is very, very handy for joining 2 filaments together. You could make multiple coloured little sort of spools to make a multicolour, like I said, I'll show you at the end on this, or just join like for like colours. So I'll show you quickly what you get in the box. It's not an unboxing this because, like I said, I've already filmed it in use, as you'll see shortly. But what you get in the box is the unit itself, the power lead, loads of PTFE joining tubes. Again, you'll see what they're used for in the demos, and the instruction book. Now, the power lead is a USB-A, is it, or the big USB one end, and a round barrel connector at the other end. It'd be better if they did it USB-C at this end, so you've got loads of people now have got USB-Cs, but if you lose that, you're going to have to get yourself another barrel connection of that diameter. Now, it says you must use a 2 amp power supply, and it is correct. I'll just show you what happens if your power supply isn't 2 amp or above. So here it is. I'm plugging it into a 2 amp power supply. Well, there's the display. Like I say, I'll be showing you all this in detail close up very, very soon. But there, you can see the display there. It's set at PLA, and it's heating up. It's got to 43, 51, and so on. But if I now plug this in a 1 amp power supply, so take that out. The other end's in a 1 amp power supply. As I plug it in, see, it comes up with the 888 and the little thing. But when I press the button, nothing. It bleeps and nothing happens because it hasn't got the power to heat the heating element on a 1 amp power supply. So make sure you look at the spec on the back of the power supply. That's the 1 amp one. You won't see it there, but I can assure you that is a 1 amp power supply, and that's not enough. You need 2 amp or more. So that's the unit itself. Now, like I say, I'm going to go through it joining PLA to PLA. You can only join like to like. You can't join PLA to PETG. I don't see how you ever would want to, because your printer is set up with a different bed temperature and different nozzle temperature for different types of filament. And as it passes through the machine, you're not going to know that it's... the machine's not going to know it's changed filaments. So, like for like, PLA to PLA and so on. So it's got settings for PLA, PETG, ABS, nylon. I also try it on TPU. So I try it on 5 different materials. You'll see I have great success on PLA and PETG. No success really on nylon. And ABS was okay as well. And TPU at the very, very end, bit iffy. You're probably going to need to practice a bit more. But like I say, I'm going to go into full detail later. But you put your filament in the PTFE to join it there on the heated element. Click it down. It does bleeps at certain times. And then you can cut it through there. You put it in there. Close the lid. That pushes it down and that cuts the PTFE joining bit. You'll see all that very, very soon. So like I say, I make no apologies for it being very, very long. Please use the line at the bottom to skip to the particular material you want to see printed, or just the conclusion at the very end, or whatever. So before we actually see it in action joining various filaments, I'll just show you in close-up on the desktop. I was going to show it you sort of holding it here in front of this camera, but it's going to be a lot easier on the desktop. I'll run through all the menus and show you how each one is a different temperature for a different filament. And let's see it in detail now with the overhead camera. Okay, so I've got it here set up under the Brio so you can see it a bit more clearly. First of all, I know people like this. Take that reflective, protective film off. And I've got the instructions here just as you'd get it yourself from new, and you might want to go along with me on these. So the first bit of the instructions, it tells you all the parts, size, weight and everything. So it's a leaflet, this, it's not a book, so it's page 1, page 2, and then you've got so page 3 there, the specification. I'll freeze frame that specification bit. And the instructions. So connect the power supply. Well, we've done that. It just goes in the back there. You can see the little on-off thing comes on when you plug it in. The whole thing lights up and then it just goes back to the on-off button. So the next bit it says in the instructions is insert both ends of the filament into the tube. Well, we'll do that a bit later once I've gone through all the settings. So to turn it on, you press the on button and the selected material, filament material, is displayed there on the front. PLA. We've got this PV. That means the present value. So that's the present temperature. So I've just done one piece before I started filming. So the present temperature was already sort of up, but at the moment it's working its way up, 129, 132 and so on, to the preset for PLA, which is 185 degrees. If we don't want PLA, press this button here. PLA starts flashing, and you can go ABS, PETG, PA, PCL, back to PLA. Any other ones that aren't in this list doesn't really matter because you just select PLA and then you can go up and down the temperature. So we want PLA. I'll do that again. So ABS. Once you've got the one you want, PLA, press that button again, and then this temperature is flashing now. We can go up if we want, 185, 187 with these two arrows, and down, but we'll go back down to 185 because that's what the preset was. When it reaches temperature, which is like 1 degree off now, it gets to sort of like 1 degree and then it starts beeping. Sometimes it can be a while before it starts beeping. So that's it. It's at its preset temperature now. Now, in the instructions here, it says the two ends of the filaments must be the same material. Different filament materials cannot be used together, e.g. PETG cannot be fused with PLA. Once you've got the thing up to temperature, you take one of the many, I forget how many, is it 200 or something, little pieces of PTFE tube come with it. So as you saw there, pretty straightforward. It goes up to 240 degrees in total, the maximum temperature it'll reach. So if you did want a different temperature than any of the presets, you could select that preset and, like I showed then, go up or down to your preferred temperature if you're not happy with them presets. You can't alter the name, so you can't put your own sort of custom things in and call it whatever you want, but you can alter the temperature if you need. But you should be all right with the proper temperatures that Sunlu have inset for each material. So, right, we're ready to join the PLA now. This turns out a success, as you'll see. Some of the other materials, not so much, but let's see it now joining PLA. Get one of them ready. Okay. Now, as you can see, I've got it here on the desk. I'm using these sort of cable clips, like grooved ones. You can see it there. Just so that the spool doesn't unravel. And again, the same on this one. Where is it? There. Just to sort of like keep a bit of tension on the reel. As I mentioned before, there's a few videos saying, oh, it's hard without using silicone and when you're using it off the reels, but I haven't found it particularly difficult. So, like I say, we're up to 184. It varies between 184 and 186, around about 185. So it's heated up, it's ready now. Now it says cut these at an angle. What it means, I'm cutting these with scissors at 45 degrees. Hopefully you can see that there. That one, and the same with this one. So 45 degrees. And I'm putting it in this PTFE tubing. Can be a bit awkward. So shove that halfway in. Shove this red one. I'll just put the instructions up there for now. Shove this red one in. Oops. Came out the yellow one then. And line these two. Obviously they don't have to be bang on 45 degrees here. We're not doing a mitered wood joint or whatever. But that's them sort of lined up now. There. So, oops. Just going to move that out of the way. So you've got to take a bit of care here to make sure that you can see that they are butt joined up against each other. So, oops, you swing that up out of the way now. Press this button which flips this up, and then again swing it out of the way. And we then put that in there, in the middle, and push it down. And then when it starts beeping, there, you push, put a bit of tension on these. I'm holding these, a bit of tension now, just pushing them together while they melt. It then says release that, and sort of like take it out. So yeah, it did sort of move a bit here. It is quite hard. You could just leave it in that, pull the wire right out, turn the machine off, let it totally cool in there, come back after 10 minutes. We'll try that in a second, actually. But it doesn't take long to harden. But you can see there's a bit of a lip in that now. I have done it before and it hasn't done that. Once it's solidified, you then put it in this bit here. Click each end down, and then this is like a knife that cuts through it long ways like that, and then you can just pull it out and slide this. Didn't seem to cut very well then. Let's try it again. Just sort of see it probably going off. Can be a bit awkward, but a bit of a lump there, but it would go through the extruder okay, I think. And I'm pulling that really tight, and it's not coming apart. It will eventually, it's going to go there, I think, where it's a bit thin, but oh, no, I cannot separate that. So what I'm going to do this time is, again, cut it at approximately 45 degrees there. And the same there. Get a new piece of PTFE there. That's handy, lined up perfectly. Lift that back up. We're still up to temperature because we didn't turn it off. So again, put that in there, click that down. And then wait for it to start beeping. Now push this together just till the end of the beeps. Right, this time we're going to leave it in there. You can see it's moved up a bit. This is what the other videos are saying because of the sort of tension of the rolls, but again you could just pull it back to stay there. And I'm going to turn the machine off now. And I'm just going to time it now. I'll give it 10 minutes. Okay, it's been exactly 10 minutes now. I'm going to briefly turn on this just to see what temperature we've dropped to. It says, right, 64. Turn it back off again. I don't know whether you saw that. We're at 64, 72 degrees. So I don't want it to get any hotter. So flip that up now, and you can see it kept it perfectly clear. And that says it's at 60, but that feels absolutely just room temperature. Bend it a bit there, but that's just a bend in the filament what you'd normally get if you're pushing it through one of these storage holes. So that's just leaving it in the thing. So put that in that clip again now, press it right down, put that down out of the way, and press that down, pull it up. It should peel away. Yeah, it's hard to show you without me getting my hands in, but there. Try and get it from underneath. Can you see it's splitting there? It's already split right along this seam here. So we've just got to, that's, do at least pliers so my hand isn't getting in the way. Still got it on there, but oops. Is this right? Can you see that? How it's split down there, and then it just pulls away, and you can see that is, you know, there's no reason that it'd get stuck in your extruder or anything, and that is unbelievable. You can see it's got sort of like that angle there, 45-degree angle, and that will not come apart. So finish with them 2 rolls now. Put them away and I'll set up some PETG. Okay, so as you saw there with PLA, no problem at all. Whether you take it out immediately or leave it in till the machine cools down, as long as you keep that straight. If it kinks there, right in the middle, yeah, that's not good. But if it sort of like just bends there outside of the join, it's no real detriment. You can just slice it up. Like I said, there's another video online of him using a much thicker, like neoprene silicon type tubing, because he says it holds it tighter and it stops that happening. But yeah, I find, like I say, as long as that bit where the PTFE joint and the actual join takes place, as long as that stays straight, fine. Now, as you saw there, I left everything in, warts and all. I could have edited a heck of a lot out of there, but I thought I'd keep it in real time, showing me first go at removing the thing. That's one of the most awkward bits, removing the PTFE tubing once you've cut it in the cutter at the back. Like I said, if the bits are small, you can just slide it along and slide it off the end. But if it's on a quite an amount of this, you're going to have to cut it, and it can be a bit awkward. It seemed to get better, as you'll see later on. As it progresses, I seem to get the hang of it more, or whatever. It worked better at getting them off, but that's the only awkward bit. So from now on, I'll try and edit out a bit more of it to speed it up. But I didn't want to take any of my mistakes out, or to leave mistakes as they happened. So a bit of this next bit I do speed up. And I just do a bit of a stupid experiment in it. I talked really slowly like that to see what it'd sound like when I speeded it up. So let's have a look at it now, joining PETG. Okay, this time we'll try it on PETG. So turn it on. Press that one and then go up till we get to past it. PETG. There we go. PETG. Tin more. I've only got one roll of PETG in the house at the moment. Don't use it that often. I've cut both ends to the 45 degrees. So while this is heating up, we'll get that over there. And over there. And line them up. And yes, it definitely is easier when you haven't got it on a roll, but it isn't insurmountable, you know. Sorry about the phone ding. So we've got the two sort of 45-degree bits lined up perfectly now. So we'll just wait for this to get up to temperature. I'll just fast forward this bit.
Because I am fast forwarding this bit, I am speaking this really slow, so it should come out nearly normal.
Okay, whether that voice experiment worked or not, I don't know. But we're coming up to temperature now, 208. It'll start bleeping very soon. Slows down, gets 29, 210. We'll let it do its thing, we'll let it start its bleeping. we go. So it's now saying it's ready. So flick that up. Again, put that in there. Put it down. Wait for it to beep again. Push it together. Right, I'm just putting a bit of tension on there now, pushing them in till it stops bleeping. Right, it's now stopped. Undo that. Take this out straight away. I'm just wetting some of that bit of spit on there so you can cool it down even quicker. It cools down pretty fast as soon as you take it out. Put it in there. This is the most awkward bit, getting this off here. Of course I could, but this is just two bits of short bits, so I could just slide it off obviously, but if it was on a reel you couldn't. So sometimes you have to put that in there. That's not the best of cutting blades. I'd be tempted to sort of try and slice this off, but it does eventually go apart. Can you see it? That has split. So this is PETG now, and again, unbelievably. So yeah, again on PETG, you saw it does it at a much higher temperature, but straightforward, and it worked first time. Yeah, the only awkward is that can be quite awkward getting cut through there. It's a tricky thing to design into a machine because it's got to cut just the PTFE tube and not cut into the filament itself. So it's got to be pretty accurate in how it cuts. If you tried to slice it like that, you'd probably dig into the filament. But after 2 or 3 goes, you know, it does sort of peel off. So as I progressed on, like I say, it seemed to get easier and easier now. So let's try it now on some ABS. So this time we'll do ABS. So press on that. Go up to ABS. That's a temperature of 220. PETG was 210. PLA was 185. So again, I've only got one ABS, just to prove ABS. So, oops. That doesn't always stay up brilliantly. Right, close that down. Wait till it bleeps. Right, push these together till it stops beeping. It's now stopped beeping. See that out. Yeah, it could do with being a bit stiffer. Shall cool it off again. Like I say, I could just slide it off, but I won't. I'll cut it in here, see how it cuts. And I can get in the knack of this now. You can see it just came off there pretty good. And that, I think that's the best join yet. Put it against something you can see. And again, I cannot pull that apart. Right, so PLA, PETG, ABS, no problem whatsoever. That's where it all changed. This is nylon. So yeah, again, not something I've used often. I have used it, but I've had this reel since I bought my very first printer about 7 years, I think. So maybe does it need drying out? I don't know. It's in a dry shed. Every other reel prints perfectly or whatever, but that's by the by. That's nylon, as you see. And this proved pretty tricky, as you'll see, so apologies for this bit. It is fairly long. I've tried to edit as much as I can out, but I do have 3 goes at this before I get it to join, so let's have a look. Right, so this time, something I've hardly ever used. I got this years ago. TEFLON 3D nylon. Select nylon, which is PA. This menu here, PETG, PA, and we can also go PCL is really low. That's like the 3D pens, the stuff you get in 3D pens. PLA, which is the most common one, ABS, PETG, PA. Yeah, in the book it says PA stroke P, PA, P. In the book it says stroke PA stroke PC. PC is polycarbonate. So they are the hottest ones on its presets, 230 degrees. So 230 degrees. And we're up to, it hasn't bleached yet, but it will do in a second. We're up to 229. There we go. So pull that back. Yeah. Bit that don't like click back, or it's a bit stiffer. There may be a way of tightening up the hinges. I'll have a look in a bit. Right, so again, put that in there, put it down, wait till it bleeps. And push it together till it stops bleeping. There we go. Way. See if we can get that again this time. Oh, no. There, did you see that? Didn't work. So let's try that again. I'm glad I've had a sort of live failure. Oh, there was a broken off bed. I don't know whether you just pouring it in that bit of PTFE, and it did shear off that. So let's see how this bit goes. Right, that's pretty much but jointed up. Of course, it would be better if you put a bit of blue tack or something under here. It's pretty lightweight. Push that down. Probably try and push it together a bit more this time. It's a bit harder with it being sort of flexible. Sorry about the phone again. Flip that up. Maybe I cooled it too quick. But certainly this was the first time it had failed. Take that out of there. There is a bit, you can see there, a bit of melted glue or something. Yeah, should have got that out, I think. Get a little scalpel blade under there in a bit. And that isn't, that sort of like PTFE sleeve is not moving. Yeah, Not a great success with that, so I'm doing something wrong there. Yeah, didn't join at all. And right, I've been reading, just done a bit of Googling, and been reading, yeah, other people have had problems with joining ability of nylon. So I've cleaned that bit of loop that was blocking that drawer. I'm going to give it one more go. Wait for the bleeps. Right, so I'm pushing together. It says apply a bit more pressure, so I'm doing more. And during the cooling process, so I'm going to turn it off the machine. And keep applying pressure just while it cools a bit more. And then give it 5 minutes before. The machine is turned off, so it's dropping in temperature now. Quickly whiz it on just to see what the temperature is. It's down to 177. So I'm going to flip that up. Oops. No, not a good look at that. Not good at all. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to have much success with that. Yeah, no join whatsoever there. Right, one very, very, very last go. I'm going to just set it up this time. I'm not going to cut a bevel on it. I'm going to use 2 straight cut edges. Right, one final go with the nylon. I've just butt jointed them this time. I'm going to put it in there. I'm not going to press as hard this time because it's like melting the PTFE almost. Well, it is. See it coming up to temperature now. And PA is nylon. It's just another word for nylon. Heats that up to 230. Right, I'm not going to wait for the bleep. I've had it done in there long enough. It looks better. I don't know whether you can see. I don't think the camera will pick it up, but I can see there's like a gap there. We've got filament here, and then there seems to be a gap there where it's like burnt through the nylon, and then there's just that bit stuck in the PTFE there. It's like a gap there, and yet I'd push them both together. But if I pull this apart now, this bit's just gonna come out of here. Yeah, look, it just did not work at all. So I don't know what drives that down there. Just shove it back in and put it on there. Trying all sorts here, just pulling it out while it's still red hot, pushing it together. It's like I say, it's as if the PTFE tubing is melting at the same time temperature as the nylon. That's with it being exceptionally hot. Stuck together better now. How good that will come off, I doubt. Oh no, it is coming off. It's peeling off. Right, that has now come off. And, well, success is a bit of a little gap there, you can see. but it has stuck together, and there's not much, no bulge there. You can see it's not bulged at all. There's a little tiny indentation, but I'm pulling that, not as much as I pulled the PLA, but that definitely would go through an extruder. So yeah, definitely trickier with that. Right, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to just try some TPU. Yeah, so as you saw, nylon, an absolute little pig. I tried all sorts, the bevel joints, a butt joint, leaving it in longer, leaving it in less, pushing it harder, not pushing it as hard. And that final one, it was joined, but there was like a gap in the top. It is very, very awkward. So if you find an easy way of doing it with this machine, tell us in the comments. I may be doing something wrong. It may be just the inherent nature of nylon. It doesn't bother me too much. The three materials I will be using, PETG, ABS and PLA, joins perfectly. Again, TPU, don't use much TPU. We're going to give it a try. I was thinking it might be worse than nylon, because nylon pretty flexible compared to the previous three, but TPU even more. Now this reel of TPU, as you see, there's not the actual sort of softness isn't written on it anywhere. So I think, from what I remember, it was a while ago, it's 90A in softness. So let's give it a try and see if it's any success. Put the temperature down at 210 for this. Didn't want it as hot as that. So I'm going to put that in there. And like I say, I don't have any confidence this is going to work. Push them together. I don't think this has worked. It's such a tight fit, with it being like rubbery or elasticy TPU. Such a tight fit in this PTFE tube. Getting it to push together is quite awkward, and I can see there, even though the 45s are lined up with each other, I know you probably won't see it, but it doesn't look like a great joint. Doesn't look like they're actually together. So we'll put it in, turn the machine off now anyway. Put it in there again. Well, it has cut again. This seems to be getting easier, so you can see it's cut through there. Put in the get him off without sliding it off the end. And whoa, look at that. Like I said, the join doesn't look fantastic there. It's easier seeing it against white. Or, yeah, see there a little gap, can you see? In it. So there's only a bit joining it together. But again, I think that would probably go through the extruder. Okay. See how much it takes to pull it apart. I'm putting quite a bit of force on this now. Ooh. It is stretching at that point, you see. But that's amazing how it's slipping through my fingers before it's actually snapping. So again, with a bit of practice, I reckon that would be possible. But yeah, we'll leave it at that now. I think we've done enough materials. So yeah, as you saw there, it actually joined the TPU. Okay, there was that V gap in the top, but it's surprisingly stuck together, and it would survive a trip through an extruder. Now, I was curious to see if sticking a few bits together, whether they would survive travelling through the AMS, the Bamboo Lab Automated Multi-Spool System, or whatever it stands for, because normally you'd probably use the reel holder, the spool holder on the back, or just on your single spool holder on your machine like this, and then it's only got to travel through the extruder. But on that, it's powered through that as well and takes quite a long course. So I wanted to subject it to that extra test to see if it would survive. So let's have a look at it now. I just quickly wound it on a spare reel. Again, normally you'd have a lot more and you'd use a proper spool rewinder to do it. But if I haven't already said, and already put a card in, click up here for a full review of a fantastic spool rewinder I made earlier. But let's see if it'll survive a journey through the AMS now. Okay, as you can see, that's the part it's printing. It's printing quite happily, and I have got the reel on the AMS, so I'll closely monitor this for tangles. It did skip and jump a bit loading it, so that with an amount this short I would normally have just mounted it around the back, but I just wanted to prove the AMS could handle the joints, so hopefully they stick together. That's part I printed recently to keep all these, if you've got a bamboo printer like this, you'll know it runs a test strip along here at extrusion. You end up with them all over the place, so I'm saving them and I'm making a brush out of that, which I'll probably show in a future video. But let's put some more light on. But yeah, you can see, I'm hoping I'll have enough. If I don't, I'm going to have to just add an extra roll when it runs out. But you can see now it's done the first layer, it's feeding out okay. Hopefully, fingers crossed, these bits don't snap off. So, crossing my fingers must have worked, because that part printed fantastic. So just went on 5 little short lengths, none of them separated, no snap-offs in the AMS or anything like that, and that's the part printed. It's for an Amazon show, your Alexa sort of thing, and it started off with the pink, as you saw. The blue part's an extra part on it, and went through all the layers perfectly, finishing off in the green. But yeah, you'd obviously have a bit more material. There's more black there than white and that, and you're going to get, you can't see, it's so little, you're going to get a bit of bleed between the two colours, but that can give quite a good effect. But yeah, stuck together fantastic, as strong as the original, and no problems at all. Right, I'm just squeezing this bit in. I'd reached the end of editing the video and then totally forgot I was going to mention about the replacement blades. So yeah, the blade that cuts through the PTFE joiner at the end, if you take these 2 screws out, which I've already taken out from the bottom of the printer, you can pull out the cutting assembly, and it's on like two springs, as you can see, and it uses that blade. So if anybody knows, I've googled it and I can't find that blade. It's anywhere on Sunlu's website. I may have missed it. If I have, tell me where it is. Or I've looked on Amazon, I've typed in Sunlu Filament Joiner cutting blade or whatever. I can't see any on there. So if anybody knows a source for that exact size blade, it's similar to the Bamboo Lab one that you get, that you make the scraper out of, but that's different. The whole spacing's different, and it's a bigger blade. But again, that goes in through there. Eventually that is going to obviously need replacing. Anyway, I'll put that in a second. So again, if you know where to get them blades, please put it in one of the comments and I'll add it to the description. Right, back to where we were. So yeah, would I recommend it? Yeah, I absolutely love it. One fault though, if you're watching this, Sunlu, you might have noticed in the video the door being loose, this door, and I wondered why. I'll just show you what happens at various temperatures. Now the machine is off at the moment, and as you can see, this door, there's resistance. No matter where you put it, it stays there. Look, right the way up to fully open. So let's plug it in and turn it on, and we'll get it up to PLA temperature. So turn it on. Right, I'll cut now to when it's reached temperature. Right, okay, it's about sort of it takes a good 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes to reach temperature. We're up to PLA, as you can see on the front, 185 PLA temperature. And it still stays up. It's not as good, look. There's a bit of movement, but it's still just about stays where you put it. Falls down a bit. But let's now take it up to ABS temperature. Okay, so we're up to 220 degrees now for ABS. And if you watch now, if I release that, you hold it up to get your filament out and it just falls down. Look, it's dead flat. So, like I say, you need it to stay up there while you remove your filament, but you can't. And you need both hands to remove your filament and keep it steady. I thought them screws there, if you can see, you might tighten them and it might be the hinge, but if you look, it's not the actual hinge position. The hinge position is lower and there's nothing to tighten. All they needed to do was put a little catch there so that as you shoved it up, it held it in the catch. It's held there now, but as you can see, I'm putting that as hard as I can, let go, and it goes back. So that would have been quite an easy for the Mark II. If you're watching this, Sunlu, and you want me to do a review and you want to send me one, that would be a great addition. But other than that, yeah, it works fine, and I'm glad I got it. Yeah, for all the stuff I want, it does stay up at the PLA position, so I won't be using it on ABS that often. PLA and PETG, it sort of, hang on, does it do it on PETG? What was that temperature? PETG's 210, so it's only 10 degrees less than that, so it might still fall down on that one. But either way, yeah, I would definitely recommend one. As you said, it joins them really, really good and really strong, and plenty of strength in them. So that's that. So hopefully you've reached the end, and hopefully it has been of some use. If it has, please give me a thumbs up. If it hasn't, as mentioned at the beginning, give me a thumbs down. Please, 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 if you haven't already subscribed, it would be fantastic if eventually I could get up to 5,000. Don't think it's ever going to happen. But click the picture here of the shed if you want to subscribe, and click the bell icon below and you'll be alerted to any uploads as soon as I do them. I don't know when the next one's coming along. I've not seen anything in Lidl's. I usually do Lidl tool reviews for ages that I haven't already got or I want, but eventually some gadget will come along that'll do like that, that'll do a review on. I've been printing loads and loads and loads on the 3D printer recently, so it's probably going to be another 3D type one. I've been tending at the moment, I don't know why, like I say, a 66-year-old bloke got addicted to cartoon characters, but I'll put links to these below. There's a great designer on Maker World who's come out with loads of these Looney Tunes and Disney type characters. So I've been doing loads of them, like this Bugs Bunny that turned out fantastic. All done from separate coloured parts, so you can do it on a normal printer. You don't need a colour changer one which wastes loads of filament. So we've got Bugs Bunny and we've got Lola Bunny, his girlfriend, there. But I have been printing some useful items as well. Again, I'll put a link to this below and do it more in depth. but it's a magnet holder. If, like me, you've accumulated loads of magnets for various projects, and they're all labelled on the top, and you can alter the text to whatever size you want, and they go from the smallest, which is 2mm diameter, so tiny things. They are 2mm diameter, 1mm thick little magnets, and you can see it's the hole down the middle. Take the cap off, you see how small the hole is, right up to 15×3, and you can put it on a rotating vase if you like. I'm not bothered, it'll just spin on the table or it'll be in a cupboard, but you can have a bearing base, and there's various sizes. I'll put links to that below. Also, I keep mentioning it, but you may have noticed my latest shirt. Any Star Trek fans will recognise that. Enterprise. I think the last video I did had a Doctor Who one. I might do a video on them. I'm still undecided where I get them from, a place called Who Shops. And whatever it will be, it will be. And again, don't know when it'll come along, but I hope you could join me for it. Thanks a million again for watching this. Bye for now.